All right, Chris, all ballers aren't created equal. And so as we come to the end of a decade, I want to kind of look back over the past 10 years and talk about the best players that we've seen in the NFL. And so starting off for me at number 3 is Rob Gronkowski. Now, I hate that this dude, his career got cut short, man, because he was like one of the most dominant players that we've seen at the tight end position. I think he really revolutionized the game too, because I think a lot of times we're always putting a lot of emphasis on running backs and wide receivers as being game changers, but then he exploited the ultimate mismatch that's still getting exploited in the NFL right now, and that's tight ends on linebackers and safety. So I think Gronk will be more appreciated as the years go by, but he's definitely one of the most dominating players that we've seen in the league in a long time.
I'm with you.
At number 2, I have Aaron Donald, because this dude literally brought a knife fight to the trenches, because he goes and he trains and he works on all these different skill sets, and he's refined his game to a point to where we always looked at guys on the outside. Like during my career was Javon Curse and all these guys who are bringing pressure from the outside. He revolutionized the D tackle position, where he's coming and penetrating from the inside. That's the quickest path to the quarterback, and he's been able to dominate ever since he got into the league, Pro Bowl every year, and he only gets better, man. And so I'm anxious to see what he does the remainder of his career, because so far it's just been nothing short than special. And at number 1, I know people are going to hate for me to bring this up, man, but Antonio Brown. Like, I understand the dude is going crazy, but if you look at what this dude did from the wide receiver position since he got into the league, starting off around 2010, 2011, it's something special, because we always felt like you needed a big target out there on the perimeter to be a dominant number 1 wide receiver. But this dude was really short, but at the same time, I mean, he's short like Prince, but he'll go out there and get 20 targets, have 15 catches, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns on a regular. Like, people knew he was going to get the ball. It didn't matter. He was going to ball out anyway. I don't want his career to be diminished like T.O., where you always focus on the stuff that happened outside the white lines, to where you forget about all the greatness that they had in between the lines. Hopefully he gets himself together. But as far as what he was able to do between those white lines, especially for the last decade, Antonio Brown was one of the most dominant players that I've seen in a long time.
Hey, I'm with you. First off, I like your list. I mean, this is hard, because I feel bad about leaving like people like Von Miller, J.J. Watt. Absolutely. They're not going to make my list. I don't even know how that's possible. Adrian Peterson. Come on. The first time I saw him in person, I was like, man, is he playing in fast forward and the rest of us are in like slow motion? Or what the hell's going on here? Okay, but here's my list. I'm pulling a tank, all right? I'm putting 4 people on a 3-spot list, okay? Because I couldn't decide. It was that hard. All right, number 3B, I'm going with Antonio Brown for all the reasons you said. I mean, in the fantasy era, he was like the fantasy number 1 guy, right? Everybody wanted him and all the things you mentioned. Plus, he brought some attitude, everything about it, and I'm with you. I hope the off-the-field stuff doesn't kind of blur out all the great stuff he did on the field. All right, that was 3B. 3A, I'm going to go with Revis Island.
Yeah.
All right? Darrelle Revis, in my lifetime, only Deion Sanders is a better corner that I've seen. You know, just from what I watch. And I mean, and his stats aren't going to say anything. But it doesn't need to say anything, because nobody, you were playing, nobody threw at Revis Island. It was like, okay, he's over there playing man-to-man. Let's not mess with him and roll the dice. Let's just go after the other corner. I got to throw him on the list.
You know what I really appreciate about Revis, too? Not only was he a great player, but he also revolutionized how people approach their contracts, too. Because he was getting all these guaranteed contracts, taking it a year at a time, and he definitely maximized his earning potential like no other player that I've seen besides Kirk Cousins now, and he followed the Revis model.
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought that up, because I forgot to say that, and you're exactly right. He finally said, oh, wait, the players can play hardball, too, and we can play business, too, if the owners are going to make everything about business, and you're right, that's part of it. Number 2 was a guy on your list, because I can't disagree with what you said. Gronkowski. Gronk's one of the greatest mismatches in the history of the sport. He was vital for the second part of the Patriots dynasty. He helped not only Tom Brady, but Julian Edelman and Wes Welker and all those guys get open. Because, hey, look at the AFC Championship game a few years ago. The Jacksonville Jaguars had to put Jalen Ramsey on them to play man-to-man in certain situations. He was like having an extra offensive tackle on the field in the run game. So not only could you argue he's like the best receiving tight end ever, you could argue he's one of the best run-blocking tight ends ever, too. And that's rare. And number 1, this is my guy. This is the best player of the decade for me, all right? And that's Aaron Rodgers. I'm going with Aaron Rodgers. I think he's the quarterback of the decade. quickest to 300 touchdowns, quickest to 40,000 yards, best TD to interception ratio we've ever seen. He's the closest to a one-man show that we've ever seen, too. And I know people are going to go, oh, he didn't win Super Bowls like Brady. Okay, it's a team sport. There's 53 guys on a team. We got to get over this, like, the quarterback gets all the credit or all the blame sometimes. To me, Aaron Rodgers is like the 2010s decade best quarterback. Get on my back no matter just about any situation. He can make it happen. Hail Marys, whatever it is, scrambling around, throwing missiles all over the field. He was the most fun, exciting, dominant quarterback, I think, of the decade.
Absolutely. I mean, especially since you brought up the fantasy era. I mean, I just recall Aaron Rodgers always being one of those quarterbacks where you always were told not to draft the quarterback high, but Aaron Rodgers, you're going to be like, hey, I need to make sure I get that guy on my team. And as far as, like, looking at him from a talent perspective, like, he had arm talent like none other. He had a command of the offense similar to a Brady, a Peyton Manning, all that stuff right there. People will appreciate him at some point as being one of the best quarterbacks that ever played the game, whether he catches up with some of these other guys in rings or not.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.